So we're going to do problem number 28 from Singapore Math Book 1A, section 3.4. And in this word problem, at a concert, 2/5 of the people were men. There were 3 times as many women as children. If there were 45 more men than children, how many people were at the concert? So this problem introduces a new little wrinkle, which is you're only given, like, written out one fraction. So that might be confusing because you need a second one to solve the problem. And the place where that is in the line, there were 3 times as many women as children. That's not given as a fraction. That is given as a proportion, 3 to 1. How do we convert a proportion into a fraction? And the answer to that is simple. The denominator is the total number of parts. So we add the 2 numbers in the proportion. And so if we want to know the fraction that were women, it's 3 out of 4. The fraction that were children is 1 out of 4. And this works anytime you have a proportion. So for example, if you said, I have a basket of fruit and I have 3 apples for every 2 oranges. Then you add 3 and 2, that means 5 parts in the denominator. So 3 apples for every 2 oranges, 3/5 apples, and 2/5 oranges. So it's very important to be able to see and recognize a proportion and be able to convert that into a fraction. So we now have 2 fractions. We have 2/5 of the people were men, and of the remaining people, 3/4 of them are women. So remember that when we want to use the box technique, we have to multiply our denominators, 5 and 4. So we're going to need 20 boxes. I'm getting sloppier with my boxes. All right. At a concert, 2/5 of the people were men. So we've got 20 over here. Well, 1/5 of 20 is 4. Therefore, 2/5 of 20 is 8. So we're going to make a mark over here. And we've got our men in this box. Now, of the remainder, there are 12. We know that 3/4 of those remaining 12 are women. And 3/4 of 12 is 9. And 1/4 did I have an extra box? I have an extra box. No big. And so men, women, children. If there were 45 more men than children, how many people were at the concert? Now remember that this is not 8 men. This is 8 units of men. We don't know how many men are in a unit of men. It could be 1, it could be 6, it could be 12, we don't know. So 8 units of men. And equals 3 units of men, 3 units of children. So you don't even have to say 8 units of men. 8 units, which is the men, equals 3 units, which is the children, plus 45. So 8 units equals 3 units plus 45. So we simply subtract the 3 units from each side. So we get 5 units equals 45, and therefore a unit contains 9 people. So we know that there were originally 180 people at the concert because there were 20 total units. Now we're going to back check our answer. It's always good if one still has time at the end of the problems to go back and check the work to make sure that we didn't make any arithmetic mistakes. So we decided the total number of people at the concert is 180. At the concert, 2/5 of the people were men. So 1/5 of 180 is 36. So 2/5 is 72. So we know we have 72 men at the concert. Then of the remainder is 180 minus 72. That is 108. We know that 3/4 of them are women, and a quarter of 108 is 27. 3/4 is 81, and then children is 1/4 of 108, 27. And we need to have 45 more men than children. 72 minus 27 equals 45. So we know that our calculation is correct. Now I'm going to show the second technique for doing the problem if you don't want to draw out all the boxes. Now remember, the box technique is the one they're shown in school, and it is conceptually easier, I think, for the kids than the technique that I'm going to show now. So you might not want to bother with this at all, but you know, it is time consuming to draw out those 20 boxes. So it might be helpful to just have this one in reserve. So now instead of drawing out 20 boxes, we're going to make a box for the total number of people at the concert, and we're just going to divide it in 2 pieces. 2/5 are men. Therefore, we know that everyone else, which is women and children, is 3/5. Then we're going to bring down this remaining piece, women and children, and we're going to divide that into the women. Now remember, we decided that women are 3 out of 4, 3/4, because of the proportion. 3/4 women, 1/4 children. So if we want to know, we know that men are 2/5 of the total. But we don't know how much children are of the total. We know the fraction that children are the remainder, the women plus children. So what we do is we have to multiply the fraction here of children by this fraction over here. And what that means in English is children are 1/4 of the 3/5 that were left when you took out the men. So 1/4 of 3/5 equals 1/4 times 3/5 equals 3/20. Now remember, the men are 2/5. We want to have that in the same denominator as the children. That's children. So 2/5 multiply numerator and denominator by 4, we get 8/20. So we know we have 8/20 men, 3/20 children. The difference between the men and the children is 45. So 8/20 minus 3/20 equals 5/20, which reduces to 1/4, which is 45. If 1/4 of the total is 45. 1/4 of the total is 45. The total is 4 times 45 is 180, which gives us the same result. Like I said, I personally prefer this technique, but I think it is conceptually more difficult. And in some of the word problems, it can get very complicated. So probably the box technique is going to be the way to go.